Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Go Deep with Kat and Sarah. Today, Kat and I were discussing insights and how do you get them, and how they're so great. So, how do you become more insight prone rather than accident prone? Becoming insight prone. And Kathleen, you had a great little story about, I think it was a friend of yours who had this big insight in her business. Can you tell about that again?
Yeah. It was just recently. It was actually a client of mine that's in my membership, and she was sharing with all of us that she has this little side gig, and she was kind of struggling with trying to figure out something, and she just woke up one morning and she was sort of, the way she described it, in this half dreamlike state, and literally this idea of how to do something within her business came to her, and she'd never thought of something like that before, and she just felt like, oh my gosh, this really feels like this is going to be big, this is going to work. It just resonated with her. In addition to that, a name for her business came to her, and she'd been like trying to, she'd been kind of struggling with a cool name. And so after she shared with everybody, she said to me, well, I want to wake up every day and have a stroke of creativity like that. Like, what do I do to make that happen again? And so I think that's, I mean, I had some ideas, but I'd love to hear what you think, Sarah Joy.
Hmm. It comes to mind that we're we're made of creativity. It's it's part of how we're made as humans, and we're we're designed to have insight come to us. Um, some people might call it intuition or wisdom or stroke of genius. Um, and I think a huge part of having that happen more often is knowing, and like really knowing, like with a capital K, like knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt, not having it be like, well, that's a cool idea, but knowing it in the marrow of your bones that we're made to have insights. We're made to receive knowledge that way.
That was one of the things that came to me when
Mm.
I was in the conversation with her, was the word certainty. Like, done deal, this is gonna happen again, because that's who you are. That is, and that's how it works. So with the knowing, with the capital N, knowing that we are the creative force of, we have access to, we are it, of the whole amazing universe. It's unlimited. Yeah, that right there is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
almost as if it kind of struck her like it was some freak accident. No, it's not. Now, the other thing that I also thought was very interesting was that this time it occurred for her after she had just woke up. So, most likely, and I don't remember if I asked her or not, but the little chatterbox in our head, sometimes it's quieter first thing in the morning for many people. I mean, I do know there's some days when I wake up and, oh my gosh, thoughts are just coming in me at me like, like repetitive bombs. But I think that creating fertile ground to be insight prone and open for creativity, uh, usually the mind is quiet. Our thinking is either playing in the background, or we're not giving it a lot of attention. I think that creates a space for creative insight to occur. What do you think?
Yes, and um, it was in how you said it's who we are and how it works, and it's just really simple. I've had so many creative insights where I was going 10 million miles a minute and having like smoke come out of my ears. And I actually used to think that I had to spin the thoughts faster to get the good ones to come out. Almost like we have to go faster, faster, faster. And I ended up, concussing myself, and I ended up with health problems because of the spinning the thoughts too fast. But I kind of had the cause and effect backwards, or that's not quite the right word. So yeah, I suspect, and I'm not sure if this is my opinion or my observation or true for everyone or true for me. I'm not sure where it lands on that spectrum. We're always receiving wisdom. We're always receiving creative insight. I don't think it is any less if we're thinking a lot, but I think we hear it better when we're quiet. And so we just hear it better. And whether or not you're doing a lot of thinking or not is almost irrelevant.
I am so glad that you see it that way, said that, because I do agree with you. I agree that it's always there because it is part of our DNA, right? It's who we are, and that we have access to it anytime. There isn't a strategy that we have to do something other than the simple knowing that that's how we're made. Maybe that's helpful, but even that, we don't even have to know that. Like, it's just who we are. But will we hear it, or will we see it if we're, if our attention is elsewhere, we're busy, or we're caught up in our thinking? So perhaps, and I'm just like, I'm saying what's arising for me right now. And this is why I love having these conversations with you, Sarah, because you can go, yeah, Kathleen, that sounds kind of right, but what about this? So
I didn't say but, I said and.
yeah, it's not like I'm calling bullshit on you, Kathleen, but it's like tweaking, right? And this is the fun of the way we do this podcast, of just like, I feel so safe to just go, hey, it kind of looks like this to me, and it's okay to just be vulnerable. And anyway, that just came to me to say I love exploring with you, because I see things clearer. I see things with more depth when we explore. So I don't think there's a technique to, but it's individual also. Like, there's nothing wrong with someone journaling in the morning, or meditating, or going out and walking in nature, or having a brainstorming session with somebody, if it occurs to them that might, if it feels intuitively like that might create more fertile ground for something that they're but I do love what you said, that you can have a busy mind, you can be spinning all these plates, and wisdom's there for the taking.
I'm laughing.
It doesn't matter how much we're, being the human beings that we're being, because we are, right? We are this spiritual being, and there's this human experience happening.
Yeah, it's good news that we don't have to fully So we don't have to slow down all that much to hear it even more because
Believe me, it's good news for me. That is
for me
really good news for me personally.
You were talking about all the different um practices that people might do, like walking in nature, or oh, I have the best thoughts while I'm in the shower, or the best ideas, or whatever it is for someone. And I think the real difference with that is where you think the insight comes from. So if it's the meditation or the walking that gives you the insight, then you have to do that practice. And oh no, I can't do it today. But yeah, if you know that that's how you're made, then you can play around with all those different things. If you enjoy meditating, well, go have at it. If you enjoy walking in nature, yeah, like I'm gonna walk in nature. I pretty much don't think that I will stop or could, like if somebody said, well, Sydney Banks never told anyone to walk in nature, which he very well might have told people to do that. So I'm laughing, but yeah, I don't think I could stop myself if I wanted to.
No, that's crucial, Sarah Joy, to understand where wisdom resides, that it is who we are. And so none of that matters. It doesn't come from the technique, the behavior, like that isn't necessary. But if someone enjoys doing it and it is, maybe it does set the stage for creativity because they think it does. But it
Well,
isn't really, it's not necessary, and it's not how it works. It's not like, oh, I have to go do a nature walk to access my creativity.
yeah, I like that we're infinitely creative and it's accessible in any moment, at will.
Yeah.
And I I had a colleague who I used to share office space with, and she was really into meditating. And I remember she told me proudly one day how she was up to 5 hours a day meditating. And her life was, my life is so great because, and her life was like, it was she had a lot of synchronicities happening. And it was really like, she was a poster child for meditate to make your life better. And at the time, I wasn't really all that aware of the principles. And I just remember thinking, well, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. But now it looks to me like she found a way to settle and be quiet and let her natural wisdom come through. And then stuff started showing up in her life. So to me, it's just cool if you realize, okay, if you want to do that, great, but that's not the thing that's causing it. Yeah.
Mhm. That's the big, big, big distinction that is important to see. Yeah.
Yeah, you said we're the creative force of the universe. I wrote it down. It was so brilliant. I wrote
I
it down.
did.
Kathleen said.
I didn't say that. That
Well,
came
lots,
through
lots of
me.
lots
Like,
of yeah.
believe me, that wasn't a plan to, like, that just came out of my mouth, right?
Yeah. But
I
I
thought of something else too. I felt like this universal intelligence is intelligent beyond our ability to understand. And so one thing that looked true to me is that if this woman who shared this creative, like, I want to wake up every day with a new creative idea for my business. Well, what if that one idea that came is for her to marinate on, is going to sustain her for the next couple months? Like, if we're out there going like, I gotta have another insight, I need some more creativity, Like, no, why don't you just wake up today and show up? And maybe that stroke of genius, is still going to be fresh. Like trusting that insight and creativity, because I've actually had that experience recently. I'm creating a new website, and I really am proud of myself that I told the woman helping me, you got to work with me without deadlines. Now, obviously, I don't want to take 2 years. And so she goes, well, would 8 months be okay to do a one-page website? I'm like, yeah, like our target was like 9 weeks. So anyway, it's like things flowed for me
Mm.
when I just let creativity arise when it arose. And I'm not saying that people have the luxury to do anything and everything in their life without a deadline, but sometimes we really do. And sometimes I think we can just sit back and trust that creativity and insight and wisdom will show up in the moment that we need it. And that it isn't about, well, I gotta become insight prone or create fertile ground for the next insight because I'm gonna need another one. No, maybe it knows when it will drop another truth bomb on you, right? You'll have another stroke of insight right when you need to. I don't know. It looks like that might be how it works.
I have a slightly different feeling, but I'm kind of looking for words because what you just described, I don't feel is wrong. And so I don't want to offer a different view. I don't want to sound like do you know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah, but just share how it looks to you.
I'm looking for words for a feeling. So we'll give it a minute. It's a funny thing to do on a podcast on an audio where if I sit here quietly, there'll be nothing. It's hilarious. So it feels to me like we're made of little creative electrons, like we're made of universal intelligence, we're made of the energy of everything, and it is us, and we can just open the taps whenever we want, or the taps are always open. Maybe there's times where I was reflecting on this recently for myself, because with certain art mediums, I can just plunk myself down and create jewelry or a painting or something like at any old moment. With writing, I have to, not have to, but it looks to me like I have to be in the mood. And so when you look at just what is, there's no real difference between getting ideas for a business or creating a painting or writing a piece of writing. And in the times where it just flows at will, I get really quiet and a space opens up, and my hands, with the jewelry, my hands do things, and I look down and my hands have created something, and it comes through me. Or similar with a painting, I might get an image and my hands just start daubing on paint, and then playing around. I lost sight of where I started with that, but at times where it feels so, yeah, at times perhaps insights drop like one by one, slowly. At other times I have felt like I was drinking from a fire hose of the universe, and like, holy crap.
Yeah. I think you made a good distinction. I think that you were saying, oh, like I described an experience of this timing
Yeah.
that was just a perhaps one-off experience for me. It's not necessarily always like that. And I think you described that it is possible, like with your jewelry, to actually just sit, get quiet, show up, right? Show up and create. Because really, if we show up and we are infinite creativity, why wouldn't the tap? It's open, like what you're. Now, if our personal experience is, well, yeah, that's how it happens with jewelry, but when I write, it looks different, you know, that's our thinking. And that's our perhaps bringing the past into the along with us. Well, that's how it used to work, or that's how it's always been with the writing thing. I do the same thing, by the way, tech. That's creativity when it comes to tech. Like I haven't had, those are few and far between, right? And the likelihood of, the infinite intelligence of the whole universe showing up to help me solve a tech problem, if I were to just sit down and show up, I'm not sure about that.
You know, Lynn Robertson, she said to me that the wisdom of the people who designed Final Cut Pro, the video editing program, because she was learning that. Wisdom of the people who designed that software resides within the universe that she is connected to. So why not just tap into that and start interacting with the software, and it'll come. Because she said she had trouble learning it. And then she realized, she had that realization, and boop-a-doop. I'm laughing because of my boop-a-doop. There might have been a few hours in there. I'm not sure how long it took her to learn it, but she did, there was an ease in learning it. And she was tapping into the resident wisdom that already exists within the realm of existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like, oh my gosh, that's huge. And what occurred to me is that I'll have people say to me, well, yeah, Kathleen, it's so easy for you to XYZ. And I'm like, what's obvious to me is that what this thing that somebody complimented me on that I was able to do, but they can't do for whatever reason. I'm like, to me, it's so obvious. No, you're right. That same capability exists within you, is innate within you. Now, do I think that, we can hone a skill set and maybe we have an affinity for, just because I don't like using my hands. And so if I were to sit down to make jewelry, like, it probably wouldn't be the same. The possibility for creativity for me is the same as it is for you, but you've been doing it for a while, so you do have you've put some time into developing your craft. But just like, so yeah, next time I bump up against tech, man, thank you, Lynn Robertson, because I'm using that. Like, whoever created this tech thing that I'm struggling with, it was this microphone to get it to work through Zoom. Somebody created that, and the infinite intelligence of the universe was operating when they created that. Well, I am that too, believe it or not. That's huge.
Yeah.
So
So we,
I think one thing that is becoming apparent to me is kind of this real time, this like, if my members' question was, how do I get
Mhm.
creativity to show up again? Well, like, one, we are that. We talked about that. And two, like, it's there in real time when we need it. Like, that seems to, we haven't said that yet, but that seems to be a theme here.
Yeah, I think we don't notice all that much, or we attribute it to something else. Like there's a lot of where we get wisdom about something and we think, oh, well, I just figured it out. I just, how did the name for your new business come to you? And hers came in like this more dramatic way, but it could really just seem like, well, it just came to me. It should be blah, blah, blah. And the person may not think that anything special happened, or they might remember to do something, or, there's a lot of more mundane use of it. So yeah, I think we don't always notice. If I was to do, it's not really a doing, be anything, be quiet, know that it's your nature and quiet down.
Yeah.
I was envisioning a teacher. Quiet down now. Not enough. Not
No, I love what you just said, that now I can't remember how you said it, but kind of like, we don't give credit to,
yeah.
like we figure something out or we come up with a creative name for our business, and it's like, that came from wisdom, but it looked like, right, it looked like we did it. And oh my gosh, Sarah, like, when I saw how much I tried to, through the course of my life, personally take credit for, like, my ego or whatever, like I was like, this was me, this, well, then the weight on my shoulders was, and therefore moving forward, it's always going to be on me and up to me. And now when I look back and go, oh, there was something operating that's way bigger than little me that really gets the credit, then I can relax and go, it's always going to be, like, I can let go of the steering wheel, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We can just completely let go. I started a while ago with curiosity, looking at how things came to me, because I'd felt like everything was my intellect, and I researched it, or I figured it out, but when I started to look at how did that idea come to me, or how did it occur to me to exit the highway right at that moment, or how did it, nothing. It looks like nothing is with my intellect. That just sits over here and spins sometimes, and sometimes it's faster, and sometimes it's slower. Like, everything just comes out of nowhere. Like everything that happens, or everything that's good, or like when I started to pay attention.
That is so true. I mean, I think if we were to actually give that consideration with curiosity, I think we would see that, just like you said, the intellect is spinning around, and then there's like a knowing and a doing and a happening and a lifing, like right, it's and we attribute it to, well, I thought that. Well, no, not really. I mean, the thought arose, but it
Mhm.
wasn't me that made up the thought.
Yeah, and when you need things to arise, they will.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it's not on you, it's not on me. The pressure's off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so awesome. Yeah, we're pretty amazing. Not us, but just people. Not just you and me.
All the humans,
All the peoples.
all the peoples. Here we are.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we sign off today?
Oh, I could go on and on and on. I love this conversation, but we'll keep everybody on the edge of their seats until next time.
Okay, well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to everyone next time. Bye.
See you next time.